We're live, and I think everyone can hear us. All right. That's kind of what I've like unofficially started everything with. Like, you guys think I'm kidding, but I'm not.
Oh, your video is back.
My video is back. I'm back. All right, so I'm gonna introduce us all. So hello, welcome. This is our 9th episode. I can't believe it's been 2 months since we started this. I feel like it was just yesterday.
What a great way to spend the summer.
I know. Oh God, was it summer? When did we start this? Was it back in March?
Time doesn't exist anymore.
No, it really doesn't. And that's what's weird.
Call up Garland, man. Let's mess with time here.
I know. It just feels like it's been a blur. Like, I'm like, oh God, I feel like I just started this, but at the same time, it's been forever. So, welcome, friends. We've got Shadow today.
What's up, everybody? Hope you're wearing your masks.
Yeah, please wear your masks. We've got Doctur.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
And we've got Vanessa.
Hey guys, wear your goddamn masks, damn it.
I know, wear your masks for real. It's not that hard. If anyone's arguing about wearing masks, I'm gonna like sucker punch you because it's not that hard. Except today I went to a store and everyone was wearing the face shields instead, which I feel like, does that help much more?
Face shields are good against like splatter, like sneezing, coughing, but honestly, like my combo is a face mask and safety goggles, which seal around my face, so that even if there's anything lingering in the air, it's not really going anywhere. I guess like I have to be like a little extra careful with my ears, but I live in a place that's not too dense in population, so think about it like this: if it's an entrance to your body and it's exposed, it's a potential vector of infection.
That's true. That's true. Because I'm like, I kind of want to see what you look like with these safety goggles on and all these masks. It'd be interesting.
Maybe I'll take a picture for you.
Do it. I want to see it. So, I have these really beautiful masks. I know this isn't our subject today, but I have these beautiful masks that my mom sent me because she's like really paranoid right now. And I had a beautiful flower one on today. So I hope you guys are all wearing your masks. Cute. Yeah, I know. And
I have like psycho masks. Like a friend of mine in Oregon, yeah, she like made me a bunch of masks. Like she knits and stitches and sews and all that stuff, and she made them that basically I could like draw on them with marker and stuff. So I draw like psycho faces and like half zombie faces on them, and
oh my god,
I just try to make them cool. It's like things awesome that I like. Yeah,
I like that. I know that Drowned Summer got a My Little Pony one. He sent it to us in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love kind of seeing everybody's, like, the ones that they're all having on, honestly. Oh, hi, Bobo. I love you, too. But, yeah, so...
I think we all love Bobo.
Oh, we all love Bobo. Bobo is great. Gives us, like, some great...
I third that.
Huh?
Oh, I agree with that. I said I third that. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I thought you said, I heard that. I was like, you heard what? Oh my god, I'm a horrible host. I forgot to share on Twitter, but I'm glad you guys are here. So we're going to talk about kind of the future of Final Fantasy because 16 is coming up, and I'm not excited yet because I just am scared. I'm more scared than anything. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just terrified what's going to come because 15 was kind of a bust, in my opinion. I don't know. I like 15. I really do. But it wasn't finished. It wasn't finished. And it just, it just wasn't there. So, there's been a couple things going around about 16 that we're going to talk about. So, Doctor, you were the one who kind of came up with this subject. And you found a couple things that could potentially be Final Fantasy 16 if you want to talk about that. I have the picture. Tell me when you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead and put the picture up first of all. I think it's a good way to start. There's a lot of speculation around. A lot of people are kind of guessing. A lot of people are honestly just kind of throwing things out there that they would like to see. That's kind of where I would like this discussion to go.
Right.
Because there's nothing, at the end of the day, there's nothing confirmed. There is some teaser art that a lot of people believe is Final Fantasy 16. Now, this isn't the whole picture, but it looks very... for anybody who plays Final Fantasy 14, this looks very... what is that city called? I'm losing my mind.
Somebody did say on Games... I can't remember what it was called.
Mordor?
Mordor?
No, not Mordor.
Oh my But
I mean, I see that and I think of Dracula's castle, honestly.
I need to get up the Google Doc because somebody did actually say like it looks like this in 14.
It's the city in Kurthus, but I'm losing my mind right
There's
now.
so many cities in that game. It's like not even like it's just like you just gotta say it looks like a city, and people are like, yeah, it does look.
Yeah,
like that.
the structure is high on the mountain. Like if you remember, for any 14 players, the whole structure of the castle was built on kind of like a near like a big cliff. It has the same Ishgard. That's the name.
There we go. Yeah, it does look like Ishgard, kinda.
It does. But there are a couple things that because the thing is a lot of people were saying that it was a possible Yoshi P is going to direct it because Yoshi P is working on something with another group. He denies that, but he doesn't deny it outright. He just says he's working on something. So some people even thought that this might be just some sort of cool teaser art of Ishgard itself, considering we went back and we started doing the restoration progress this last expansion. But I disagree, and the big reason I disagree, it looks like there's an entire, if you look at the bottom of the picture, it looks like there's an entire large town.
I'm trying to make it as big as I can without blocking our faces.
They see enough of us.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just like cover our faces a wee bit so you can see the picture. But
and this screams to me high fantasy,
right?
Which I really, really am excited for. I mean, I've played every Final Fantasy game at this point. I love most of them. I wouldn't say all of them. But I always feel largely connected to the ones that return to that high fantasy feel. We've had a lot of ones that kind of have dipped into more of a future society. I feel like Final Fantasy 15 kind of hit that. Final Fantasy 7, in a sense, is more future with like a lot of guns,
right,
etc., etc.
That's
but there's one thing I do want to point out also about this picture is it got cut off and I couldn't find the full picture. There's a slightly larger version of this picture I couldn't quite find, but to the left bottom of this picture you'll see like a little wing.
Let me try to make it bigger because I did not catch that when you said it. Oh, I see it over here. I wish I could like have a little tool to like circle it, but it's on the left corner.
And yeah, exactly. And so the thing with this is in the full picture I saw recently, there was a that full picture was a small, like, tiny dragon standing next to what looks like a human-esque figure, like who could possibly be a main character of sorts.
Right.
Which we see a castle. We see beautiful overarching lands that don't look technically proficient. We see a dragon. This screams to me high fantasy.
Yeah.
So that's where I would like to see the game go. I would like to see a new look, almost something like a Final Fantasy 9-esque. Would be really, really good for the series, I think. It'd be a really good step in the right direction, I think. Not that any recent Final Fantasies were straight unplayable. I just think it's kind of their strongest hit. You see things like Final Fantasy V, which is incredible, Final Fantasy III, which I love, Final Fantasy IX. These are all titles that were, like, incredible.
Right.
So I think that's what I want to say about it. Does anybody else here have any, like, specific wants, what they want to see before I keep blabbering on?
I was going to say, oh, sorry.
You go ahead.
I was going to say, so Games Radar did like an article earlier this year, so in March, about kind of all the speculation that's surrounding it, and literally hit almost every point that you said. So they said that it's likely to be, the information is likely to be released this year. We have not officially gotten anything. There was a job listing on April 1st, 2019 that said, it was looking for a developer to work on a follow-up project or something, and so people started speculating because of that, and then Yoshi P comes in because it was something that he's working on 14, but also on another project, someone said, and he's yet to disclose that, or he is denying it. And also Yoshida has also promoted hints that he may have some involvement. So this is all very much under wraps. They're really trying to keep it a secret. And then kind of some speculations is that it's going to go back to the fantasy base original, like, foresty roots, you know? So I think you're not the only one to think this, which I hope they're true. That's all I can say.
Vanessa, did you have something to add? It sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I'm just going to piggyback off of what you were saying and agree that it'd be really cool if it went back to, like, those fantasy roots, you know, and less, like, futuristic. I mean, like, the futurism is, like, pretty cool because then we can kind of relate to it better, like, picture our world as that, you know? But then definitely having those, like, kind of medieval elements, like just makes it more fantasy feel.
Yeah, for sure. Shadow, what do you think about all this?
Castles.
Oh yeah, castles. Hell yeah.
Castles.
Oh, I love castles. Honestly.
I want a giant castle instead of a giant like skyscraper.
Exactly. And that was another thing is like 13 and 15 were kind of the modern technologies and they didn't do as well. Or like they aren't as favorited as the other ones is kind of what people were saying. And I disagree. I love 13 and 15, but I can see why. So, yeah. Shadow.
I love 15. But as far as like the old school vibe, if you're gonna go that direction, I need you to give me dragoons.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
I need
Absolutely.
dragoons and some type of ninja character.
Oh yeah, for sure. We haven't gotten that in a while, actually. Like
Ninja would be really good.
Yeah, we haven't. I can't remember when we got a ninja last. The last one I've seen is 6. That's when I just played 6, so that's why. But yeah. I don't know.
Technically, Yuffie was a ninja.
Oh, right, Yuffie. We didn't have any more though, did we? That I can think of.
I don't think 8 had a ninja. 9, no.
No. Yeah.
I bet you. I could be wrong, but I think 10-2 has them with the dress spheres.
Oh.
I think that might have been the most recent addition.
That might have been. I haven't played 10-2 in so long. It's been maybe over 10 years since I've played 10-2. So, that's a hard one to remember. I don't know.
And I would like to bring up. You just gave me a thought, and I want to know what people think about this because I myself don't know how I think about this. Yoshi P has also been quoted saying something to the effect of they are not planning for a new Final Fantasy MMO in the near or far future at this time.
That was
even if it's a Final Fantasy 14 follow-up project and not an actual main game series, what would people think it would look like if there was a spin-off in the same world as Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 16 being a single-player experience, not necessarily as the Warrior of Light, but some key player in the land?
I would be disappointed.
It would be I think I might be too.
I would be so pissed because I'm sick of, I'm sorry. I love 14, I really do. And I have played through the main scenario quest more times than I can count. If I got a new fucking game that made me play through it again, I think I would freak out. I would be like, I'm not buying it. I can't do this again. Like, I've played it too many times. Like, it's just, it's do something new. It's ridiculous, So I hope they don't do anything like that. But
I don't think it's necessarily a big thing that could happen. It was just kind of a thought I had.
I would freak out. I don't know. I don't think Vanessa and Shadow have played much of 14 at all. Have you guys?
No, I've watched 14. I've got a real good buddy who plays it a lot, and he's constantly streaming, so I always pop in to like support.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it. I like it. It's just not conducive for my life.
Right.
MMOs in general just are so grindy. I would need something where it's like 20 minutes of game time will net me some kind of reward, and that'll be what entices me to keep playing.
Right, and it's so like, I just don't like the aesthetic of 14 either. Like, I love 14. I play it almost every day. I haven't in a week because I've been playing Assassin's Creed, but it's just like I don't like the aesthetic of it. I want something new. I want something brand new with like new characters and, I don't know. So, I don't know what you guys think of that. Uh-oh.
Oh.
We just lost Vanessa.
That's how she feels about it.
Yeah. Huh? We just lost Vanessa, but we'll keep going. So that would be tough. Gaming Nerd says that would be tough to do, but I'm not sure how you could tell a different story when there's already a huge story establishing world. Love Doctor's man bun, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Oh, no.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's an interesting point, though, because there's a lot of other things that are... I don't want to spoil anything from 14 since Shadowbringers is still not complete.
Right.
So it's hard for me to talk, but there is a very, very interesting, let's say, land in Final Fantasy XIV's the first world, which you go to in Shadowbringers.
Right.
That isn't... I don't know. I kind of wonder if I were to put a perfect story... If it were me in charge and they said, all right, Doctor, you have to come up with a Final Fantasy 16, it has to be a main game series, but it has to be based something on Final Fantasy 14's world. Where I would go to is exploring the first, which is a light and in a light encompassed world where the light is too much and they need to balance out with some darkness.
Yeah.
And explore that realm before that event happened.
Right.
Because then it's not something we've touched on in Final Fantasy XIV, but it is still technically part of their, whole world build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think they need to do something new. I'm like, I don't know. They need to just break away from what they've been doing and just do something completely new. I need something new.
You know what I would really love?
What?
If they did like a Final Fantasy game which was set up that basically you're a support like cast where like there are some warriors of light or something else, but those are not the protagonists that you play as. You play more as like the Biggs Wedge / like side characters or whatever, and you sort of carve your own story and quest line and like epic adventure out of that. And then maybe for the final boss fight you come together as like the second half of this team that you need to team up with, like the main warriors of light or whatever, to like defeat the main evil or whatever. I think that would be fantastic, like where you sort of start out as like this underdog squad and you sort of like set yourself in the world that's sort of like cheering these like main warriors and you guys are like nobodies and then you just come up.
Yeah, that would be interesting, I think, because we do need more. Oh, I think we've got Vanessa back. We do need more of the side characters kind of brought to light, I know that they're side characters for a reason, but I think that would be kind of interesting. That would be definitely something.
And it's always so good to have like an underdog tale, I think.
Oh,
yeah. Underdog stories are fantastic.
Something about Final Fantasy VII, like, Avalanche is kind of an underdog eco-terrorist group,
Right.
And a lot of people come to that, but they're like they do it the opposite way too. It's like in Final Fantasy X, they're definitely not underdogs. Like this is a well-established summoner with roots to the last person who had defeated Sin. So they're not underdogs in any sense of the word.
Right.
So they've been able to make it work both ways, I think.
They have. Bobo asked a question. He says, what do you want to see from summons in 16? I love summons. I could go on forever how much I love the summoning system. And I hope that I really don't have a problem with the ways they've done it before. I don't know. Do you guys have any opinions on that?
I do have an opinion on this. And it's actually going to lead me to the next thing I kind of want to talk about, too, once we slow it down a little bit. But before I want to answer that, I wanted to point out that I wanted to address Drowned Summer's question right beforehand.
Oh, right, okay.
He asked, has FF done high fantasy hugely before? It could be an interesting, doing a more Tolkien-esque setting. The first I played was 4. But the Final Fantasy worlds have always been a mix of fantasy and technology to a degree, and I agree. But I would still create. I would still put like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 9 as all high fantasy games. So they've definitely done it before, I think.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 4 is kind of there, but they do have like airships and whatnot. Then again, Final Fantasy 1 has airships too. But I don't know. They're kind of archaic technologies, though. It's not like a jet plane, right? It's like this weird spinning rotors wooden boat that's
basically like a blimp boat.
Yeah, I still would kind of consider that Final Fantasy. It's like more of or high fantasy because it's kind of a fantastical version of aircrafts,
Right.
That's my opinion. I could definitely see the arguments against that, and I wouldn't say they're wrong. Mm-hmm. But going back to Bobo Mojo's, what I would personally love to see in Final Fantasy 16 as summons, I would love to see original Final Fantasy 7-esque summons. You summon the dude, they come out for one big, grand, awesome move, and then they go away. And then, and the reason for that is you could kind of get through a lot of the story with the Final Fantasy 7 summons, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But there became a point, I have a hard time playing Final Fantasy 10 without just using Yuna and just summoning and killing things every single battle.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's just so strong, and then you're just like, so I would rather have a balance, with just the summons that do the one big thing. I always thought that was cool. I always loved getting a new summon. I equipped it right away because I wanted to see the animation come up, It always just grabbed me the best. And that could just be nostalgia talking. That could be just, like, it's the first thing I was really shown in the world of summons, but I still love it to this day.
Right. And I would love to see more, like, newer ones. Like, we've seen, like, Ifrit, Shiva, and all that so many times and, like, so many, like, variations of
Bahamut.
it. Bahamut. We've seen them all, and we've seen them endlessly, and they're always going to be classic. But I would love to see some new ones, like, and also I'm really big into Hinduism, so seeing like Shiva, Lakshmi. I think Lakshmi was in 14, and I want to see Lakshmi.
Ganesh.
Huh?
Ganesh.
Yeah, Ganesh. I would love to see that one. I love Ganesh. Like, I would just love to see some like different ones that also have to do with the Hinduism aspect that they also kind of bring into it. So Ganesh would be cool. Lakshmi. I'm trying to think. What was this fucking Krishna? You know, it would just be kind of cool to see some different ones. I think we've seen the same few so many times that like it would just be kind of cool to go beyond that. I don't know. That's just me, though. That's just me being like a weird nerd about Hinduism. So,
no, totally cool. I would like to say that I'm not sure how far you played in Final Fantasy 14, but Lakshmi definitely is in Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
14.
she's the one with like the she's
like
really hard.
Yeah, she's real tough.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she like you have to like use like L3 or I use a controller like a fucking heathen. So L3 to like, protect yourself. Yeah. So I thought it was Lakshmi or I couldn't remember. I was thinking of a different name for a second, but I would love to see that and just like, I don't know, maybe a little bit more with the summons. I'm just like a weird like Hinduism person, and I like love seeing like all that. So I was like, I just want Ganesh, like come on. So that's just me though. So I don't know about you guys.
See, I want some underdog summons. I want like more support summons that really aren't there to like obliterate the enemies, but they're more to like debuff them or buff you guys for the remainder of the fight. I also would like to see like some wacky, like my favorite summon in Final Fantasy VII is Fat Chocobo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Down on everybody, and that's a random like you use Chocobo and he doesn't always come. Like it's usually I think it's like a swarm of chocobos that come and attack, and then sometimes like he'll drop down from above, if I remember that correctly. So like
he does,
weird stuff like that, or like summoning an airship to like do an air raid on the enemies, or like a mecha chocobo or something like that. Like I think that would be cool. Like calling in a tag team of Jumbo Cactuar and Tonberry, like King Tonberry.
Cool. Yeah.
Right? Like some like funny stuff in the mix.
Yeah.
My only command is we get Alexander again.
Oh, we have not had Alexander in forever. Yeah.
Alexander's the best little castle he could be.
Oh yes, that'd be awesome. Vanessa, what do you want to see out? You were figuring things out. What do you want to see out of like summons? No, you're fine. Uh-oh. Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, out of summons for 16.
Yeah, like something with summons that you would like to see.
She's holding Tom.
Well, definitely. She's my security blanket. Definitely King Tonberry, for sure, for reasons. Doctur probably agrees with me on this.
Right.
I do.
Alexander is dope. I probably used him all the time after I got him in 8. And after Shadow said the Mecha Chocobo, I really want that. I want a Mecha Chocobo.
Right. Oh my god. And I would love to see like, I'm just like a huge MMO fan, so I'm like, I would love to see like different types of mounts. I don't want just the fucking Chocobo every time. I want the fat cat that I have in 14 and everything else. So, but I'm just like a weirdo with mounts. So that's just me. Like
I want a Phantom Train summon.
Oh, that kind of was a thing in 3, wasn't it? Like they kind of went for that. A little bit.
Well, you fight the Phantom Train in 6, so like maybe you could summon like former Final Fantasy bosses.
Wait, I meant Final.
Like gimmicky ones like the Phantom Train.
I meant Kingdom Hearts 3. Sorry, I forgot we were talking about Final Fantasy. Yeah, that'd be interesting. It would. Doom Train. Drowned Summer says.
Yep, Doom Train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool though. I think. Just seeing like a different variety, because like Ifrit's cool, but like I've seen him literally like 15 times, and I'm ready to see Ganesh. I'm ready to see someone new, but that's just me.
There's a viewer comment that I would like to
go ahead.
address too, just because it kind of leads me into one main thing I definitely want to talk about when it comes to 16 is Gaming Nerd. He said I would like to see combat akin to 7R, where you can go turn-based or action-based if you want. I almost completely agree with this, except I think they definitely need to work on their turn-based style that they had, and I think it would have fell flat on its face in 7 Remake, just because it was cool that you got to not worry about the actions and move and just select what you want to do, because that is definitely like a turn-based system, but it was just wildly easy, because it was the same difficulty level as easy mode, And I don't think it should be limited to that. I think it should be just as hard. Figure out a way to make the difficulty just as hard when you're doing that versus just like wildly easy. You know what I mean?
Right.
On top of that, I would really, really like to see people chill out a little bit
about what?
when they talk about because I saw it is so weird to me. It's like I always get really turned off by people who are like gatekeeping other things. You know what I mean by that?
No, I don't.
And well, gatekeeping, they're like, oh, well, you're not a real fan if you like X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
That's like gatekeeping, right? And I've seen so many people who are younger than I am, by the way, I'm almost 30 years old, saying, well, I just didn't like it because I'm an old school Final Fantasy player and I enjoy the turn-based. I was like, listen, I've been playing Final Fantasy longer than you've been able to play video games, and I also love the turn-based systems that they had in a lot of the games. I love them. I adore them. I still play games that have that in. But it's undeniable, in my opinion, that they did a phenomenal job with 7 Remake's combat system. It flowed so well. It was difficult at parts. It wasn't just button smashy as much as people claim it was. There was a lot of things that you had to do on certain bosses that couldn't be just button smashy.
You really had to think during it too, like you had to think about your abilities, and I think they really learned from 15.
I agree.
You know, they really.
I agree.
Yeah. So.
Actually, Void Comp has the best suggestion. Actually, I'm reading Final Fantasy, but all the characters are Cindy. Big agree.
Oh my god, Cindy fantasy. Just like, that's what
I know. I love her for her personality.
Oh, of course you do.
I mean, don't discredit her ass, too.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. We love Cindy, but, oh, God. Respectfully, I do love Cindy. I love everything about Cindy. But, like, I feel that. So, what other comments did you have? What?
Sorry, I just said she was a badass female mechanic.
I know, we needed more of her, too. Like, we didn't get enough of Cindy. We just kind of got her when we needed her, and then it was like, that's it. So, I wish we did get more of Cindy, for sure.
Do you talk to your mechanic after he's done fixing your car?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'm wrong.
Actually, I don't know, actually. Do I?
You just call him up. Hey, how you been?
Maybe I should. I don't know.
I'm just joking. I'm just pulling your chain.
I'm like, should I? Now you're like me. Now I'm like, should I be more decent to my mechanic? Maybe they're like, you know, I actually don't know. So, yeah. Sorry, Vanessa, say that again. You were.
Oh, sorry. I brought my mechanic like a 6-pack of beer one time because it was summer and it was hot, and he did me a huge favor. And then I found out he's Mormon and doesn't drink.
Oh no! Sorry,
ma'am. About it, though.
It's the thought that counts, though. Like, you know, that was like nice of you. Oh, that sucks though.
Lemonade next.
Oh no! Just like, sorry. That's awkward, but Doctor, was there any other comments you wanted to go over that you saw? Because I've been seeing the chat go crazy. I've been loving it.
Yeah, no, I think I just kind of touched on everything I want to talk about. I love high fantasy. I think Final Fantasy is going. I would love to see, although he kind of denies it, not fully. Like he hasn't flat out said, "I am not directing Final Fantasy 16."
Right.
But he himself, I'm just gonna be like crazy right now, conspiracy Brandon, right? It's going to, he said he really wants to see a high fantasy world, first of all. He said, when people asked him what he would like to see from Final Fantasy 16, he specifically said a call back to high fantasy. Then this teaser is shown, this picture of this very high fantasy-esque landscape, and he's going to be in charge of another game.
I think it lines up a little too well, honestly. I think a lot of people thought that. He's just, because I feel like they're trying to put it off as long as they can because of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15, how they kind of let us on for 10 years and it ended up to be just kind of lackluster. And I think they're trying to avoid that, honestly.
I believe wholeheartedly that we're going to hear something about Final Fantasy 16 this year.
Oh, 100%.
They've already said that they have more things to announce upcoming July, August time. Ooh. So there's going to be something soon.
That's really interesting.
What?
Right. There was some other things so there's been like Game Radar that I've been trying to kind of dig into it, and there was like a whole thing on what fans want, and we all kind of said high fantasy, but also an open world was a big one, and also more focus on the story. So I don't know what you guys feel about that. I'm an open world fucking bitch. I love open worlds. I'm playing Assassin's Creed right now, and I literally have just been like, for like 10 hours already, just going through open world. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Does anybody else want to chime in before I blabber on about this? Because I have thoughts on this too.
I'm down for open world. The more realistic for me, the better.
Yeah. What about you, Shadow?
Oh, I love open worlds, and I love side quests, and like I don't like too much necessarily like useless roguelike usage of that, like giving me random fetch quests just to like spend my time. Like make it meaningful, give me like some kind of subplots that make me care about like side characters or NPCs that I may like ignore and not know about. And it's like, oh, did you know about that one farmer in this town? And if you help him on his quest, you go on this like epic journey and he gets reunited with his son or his horse or whatever. Like, yeah, that'd be cool. Like, that's what I want.
Right, like more that like pertains to the story rather than being like, can you please give this medicine to this person right next to me? Like,
yeah, exactly. And like things that just sort of enhance it. Like,
yeah.
One game that really comes to mind for me is like on the Super Nintendo, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, where like when you finish the game and you're watching the end credits, you get to see how the game ends for all these like sub characters that you've met throughout your journey. And it's nice, like it's a nice touch, and it's cool to be able to have that like in a Final Fantasy game. Like you can choose to just stick to the main quest and avoid subplots and stuff, but like if you want to get more richness out of the story, then that's what I want. That's the kind of open world I want.
Right, because Drowned even says Final Fantasy has always been really open world. A curated open world is what it requires, not the copy-pasted stuff, which tends to be the case with a lot of Ubisoft stuff. I do agree. Also, I felt like 6 did a good job of that. So 6, I just played 6, so it's fresh in my mind. But how like at
6
the
is
end,
huge.
oh, I love 6. How you had to go and find the characters. So you could be Kefka.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You know, yeah.
And you could choose which order you go get them.
Right.
And some characters you can miss, like Shadow at the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm. And you had to go and you found out more about them as you were kind of gathering them, but you could go and beat Kefka at any time at that point. But if you wanted more out of it, you kind of had to do it. You had to work for it. So that's something I really liked out of it. I felt like 10 wasn't that open world. Maybe that's just me. 8 wasn't that open world. 7 wasn't that open world. It was kind of, but I just love open world. Doctor, what do you have to say? Because you're like, I got it. I got something to say.
I do have something to say. I think as much as I love Square Enix, and I will always buy every game they put out forever, they're not particularly strong at making open worlds.
15.
Final Fantasy VII was not very open world as much as people like to say it is, because you can go around the world map, but it's very linear in the sense that you can go out and run around in the open world, but you can only do like when you're passing the swamp area with the big serpent. That's the only way you can go, and you can't do that until you do this thing. Then you have another small section of the map unlocked. Then you have to do XYZ to be able to go to the next part of the map. So it becomes more open world. But once you get the airship, then you can go wherever you want. But by that time, it doesn't matter. You don't need to go anywhere. You have everything. Right. And I'm not saying it's bad, by the way. I don't think linear is a bad word. Like a lot of people say, oh, it's too linear. I think there's good linear. There's bad linear. Here are my examples. Final Fantasy VII Remake was wildly linear, and it was incredible.
Yeah. Final
Fantasy 13 is wildly linear, and it is a piece of trash, in my opinion.
Well, so, with I want to add on to Final Fantasy VII, because Final Fantasy VII was very linear, yes, but if you wanted certain things, you did have to do certain things side questing, if that makes sense. Like, if you wanted Aerith's, like, cloud boner dress, then you had to go and, like, do everything, every side quest.
Yeah, absolutely.
It had, like, that little bit, but I did want more. A lot more.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And that's still linear, though, because you're confined to the one area, and you can't move on until you do whatever you want to do in this area.
You're right. Yeah.
I don't think they could pull this off in any sense of the word, and I think a lot of people wouldn't like it, but I would be in heaven. I think I hate this because everybody's made fun of me on my streams about this. Skyrim is the greatest open world game of all time.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest?
Yeah.
It was 2012. I was a wee little 18-year-old girl. I just went to college, and I had gotten Skyrim from a friend, and I popped it in for like a few hours, and I gave it back to my friend and said, meh. And I just never got back into it. And I get so
Unreal.
much shit about that. And I know I should go back and replay it. I don't know. Shadow and Vanessa, have you guys played Skyrim?
No, Skyrim is like, for me, if I wanted to quit my job, then I could play Skyrim. I can't afford to play Skyrim. Like, I don't have enough time in my life bank account.
Oh, Lord. I know it is a big one. Vanessa, what about you? Oh, I think Vanessa's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, she
she's
muted herself.
muted.
Oh. Oh, God. It's okay. We'll let you play around with settings. No. Oh, you got it. Yes. Okay.
Oh, it's working now? Oh,
Yay.
I'm a god magician. No, I'm kidding. I watched my boyfriend play. I couldn't play it myself. Somehow it just kept making me dizzy, but it looks alright. I'm down for it. Doctor knows that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I know because I was playing Final Fantasy 2 on my stream, and then I had like a whole group of people roasting me about liking Skyrim.
No way.
Yeah, everybody was teaming up on me. It was wild. Like, Skyrim's trash.
But doesn't like
I love
everyone like?
Skyrim.
I literally don't know. I thought I was like the outcast here because I don't like it that much. But I need to give it another try. I know I do.
I honestly think people who love Skyrim don't typically love Final Fantasy and vice versa. And I think it's because Final Fantasy games are so different from that vastly open world. But I love exploring. I loved walking around and just going through a cave and then just killing shit in the cave. And then I was like, cool, my cave now. Like, you know, it's. But I think if they could make an open world Final Fantasy to that grand of a scale, I think it'd be incredible. But I don't think they should do that on Final Fantasy 16. I think it's too big of a risk. I think they should put out a different game and then be like, hey, this is a Square Enix game that's completely open world. And if people are like, no, then don't do it. You know what I mean? But if to try that on Final Fantasy 16, a main series game that is going to have a lot of hype behind it, and it falls flat, that would be a disaster for Square Enix.
God.
And they know.
What if they could make it like a little Gaiden game, like Crystal Chronicles type? You know, like not a main.
I think that's what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think they're trying to make something like that, where they're maybe trying to test it out. It seems like they're trying to make more games. This Project A that came out that I think we're going to get into a little bit later, maybe that's what they're going for. I think that they want to. I think it's a big thing lately. I don't know about you guys, but yeah. So I guess Discord's being kind of janky. Dude, Discord like crashed last night hardcore. And just it just died. It just went. And so if things are a little bit weird, it's Discord. It's not us.
Well, Cloudflare went down. I think it was yesterday, and they do a lot of like DDoS protection, and they provide a backbone for a lot of websites and storefronts, and like Discord uses Cloudflare. So like anybody that was using Cloudflare during the outage yesterday, like you couldn't use their systems. Discord was one of them.
Yeah.
So I think there's still like some after effects happening.
Right. Yeah. Because Discord's being a little. It's been fine for me, but Vanessa's been having a bit of trouble. So forgive us for any disruptions. But yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It happens. I feel like the internet is just angry at us because we've had to use it so much in the past 5 months. So I don't know. That's just me. But do you guys have anything else to add with the open world element? Because I do have something else I would like to add with Final Fantasy 16 that could be a bit controversial. So
I'm good.
Are you ready? All right. This is what I want in Final Fantasy 16. I want a fat bitch. I want homosexuals. And I want some fucking diversity. I'm sorry. I'm sick of seeing like the same boy band or like the same like looking type of chicks. I want to see some diversity. That's just me. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Okay. I don't know. I want to see a bitch with a big ass. Okay. So.
I think we're gonna get that with Cyberpunk for sure.
You think so?
Well, yeah, because you can customize your characters and genitalia and all of that.
Oh my god.
So I'm not sure a Japanese developer is ready to go in that direction. And I feel like gamers in general, like, there's still too much of a population of like real toxic, like close-minded gamers, and I feel like that could hurt from a business standpoint.
Well,
I don't feel like they shouldn't have any kind of diversity, but I don't know. I just feel like we're gonna see it, especially in a JRPG, like in a slow progression.
Right.
I agree 100%. It sucks to say, but you hit it on the head. I think it sucks because I'm part of gaming communities too. I basically my entire life, if I'm not working, I'm playing video games.
Right.
And I just see so much toxicity from a lot of these communities. It's nuts. I mean, I like to play like online games with other people. I played, I play a lot of World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14. I used to play League of Legends because I kind of enjoyed it,
Oh my God.
but I had to stop because like the other people gave me literal anxiety.
Horrible.
They were just being so mean, and I'm just learning, and they'd be like, yeah, well, you should kill yourself, and I'm like, yeah, maybe you're right. It's like
God,
it was just wild.
Fucking mess. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a mess, and like that's not uncommon though. You go to any video game, World of Warcraft included, is super toxic. League of Legends super toxic. Overwatch super toxic.
Yeah.
Like people just bickering on Twitter for no reason, super toxic. Like
you're right.
Like, and it gets fucking like it gets so weird and convoluted too. Like the whole thing like that happened a couple weeks ago, which was people like getting angry at shippers because they weren't shipping the same ship that other shippers shipped. If that makes sense. And I was like, are you guys out of your fucking mind? Are you actually insane? Like, what is happening? Like, it's just this, like, it just gets into people. And I think it's just the anonymity of the internet, though, is honestly it. Like, people wouldn't say some of the shit they do in person.
No.
You know?
And then, like, if you guys look at, so I won't give away any spoilers, but The Last of Us had Abby. And I think everyone knows who Abby is at this point. She is built like an ox, as they say. She's a big, beefy woman. And
not really. I mean, she's like, I don't know, like she's stacked, yeah, but like she's not a female bodybuilder, for example. And like I know that's usually the mental impression that like closed-minded people have when they talk about like a overly muscular female, is they'll think of like a female bodybuilder. Abby straight up like, I mean, I'm surprised you can have a body like that in a post-apocalyptic world. Like, I want to know like what her protein regimen is. But but like for me, I didn't feel like that's just because I'm also like open-minded. But yeah, like you brought up Last of Us, which is a really good point. If you paid attention to Twitter and the way people were reacting when the leaks first came out in April, everybody thought Abby was trans because she, had like excellent muscle tone, when in fact she wasn't a trans character at all.
Right, and people are so mad about just having to play as her at one point.
Yeah, and then like it got mixed up with the outrage of like why people were upset about the game, but then they like then you had this subset of gamers who were adding in the fact that there was like this like LGBTQ agenda being forced in, and it's like, dude, it's 2020. Like, why are you worried?
Why are we calling it an agenda in the first place? You know what I mean? It just feels so fucking...
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I would like
what is this? Like, gaming is getting hijacked by open-mindedness?
Yeah, like,
is that what you're talking about?
Another one, then, like I pay, like I had mentioned before, I play a lot of World of Warcraft, and for those who don't play World of Warcraft, the next expansion, there's a very important character who is like openly gay, and the forums lost their fucking mind about it.
Yep.
Like it was wild. I was watching. I had to stop reading comics because I was like, this is giving me fucking anxiety. This is nuts.
That's
like
insane.
This is like they're like, why are you pushing an agenda? I was like, this is the first. There are hundreds and hundreds of straight characters in this game, and there's one gay people exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't the main point of the story at all. He just mentions in passing so far about his husband. It's not a plot point that's important to his character. You know what I mean? And people are losing their minds about it. And so, like, I would love to see more diversity as well, is my point in video games. I just think the companies, like, even video game companies, people need to realize they are a business.
Yeah. And
they're always going to do what's best for business. And if they see that there's such an outcry, they might shy away from it. I'm not saying that's right, but it's just a business decision. It's really sad to see.
It is sad, because I feel like people... And again, I'm a children's literature scholar, so like I am always evaluating text for representation. That's kind of my big thing, and how children are reacting, and people in general are reacting to how they're represented, and it's just not happening. So like you've got very little LGBT text, you've got very little text with minority groups. It's damaging to a community when you don't see yourself in something, and I think that
if you put children in a bubble without adult influence. And if you expose them visually to like imagery of like heterosexuality or homosexuality or whatever, kids would like it would be a non-reaction for them. They would just see like the emotions involved and the relationship. These are two people who love each other. That's it. It's not until like you start plugging in these agendas from adults that kids start to form their own opinions,
Right.
really spreading opinions of other people, which is sad.
Bigotry is taught.
Right. And it's sad because like Abby, I really liked having her because I'm thick. So I was like, yes, I love having like someone who is like not super skinny and just like built like a fucking Viking. And I was so happy to see that. And everyone was so pissed. And I was just like, you guys are just mad because you don't like how she looks. And that was kind of the underlying issue. So I won't give anything
What cracks me up about that, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like, so I've been playing Diablo 3. That's how far behind my backlog is.
Oh my god.
And like generally when I play a game, I will prefer to play as a female. And I tend to sort of like enjoying experiencing that kind of story. I'm playing right now as a female warrior, and she's like 3 times Abby's size.
Really?
Where was the outcry for that? Like, you're playing as this like female barbarian, like Valkyrie type, like super brutal, like carrying my big, 2-handed axe, slashing demons and stuff, and like it's a non-issue.
Right.
I never heard anybody complaining about Diablo. And like, let's go back to the origins of video gaming. Gauntlet by Atari. You play as Valkyrie, who's like this badass warrior, like the sword and shield, and she was like awesome and celebrated. Like there was no issues of like seeing strong women.
Yeah, I don't know why it's become a thing lately because it's been done before. I think we just forget. I don't know, but I would love to see it again. I would love to see. I would just love. I don't. Vanessa, you've been kind of quiet. What would you like to see out of that?
Well, I definitely want more like diversity in all video games. It sucks like that it ultimately is a business and they're afraid to do things that's going to hurt their sales, but I feel like allowing this like very narrow group of people to represent be these characters is kind of enabling this like
like normative culture or like beauty standards almost, like
it totally enables it. So I just feel like it'd be really nice if video game developers kind of broke past that mold and that fear of losing out on sales and was just like, hey, you know what, just be who you are and it's okay and people should just accept it.
Right.
That's why I like games like Cyberpunk, where you're basically making your own story and like part of the main storyline. You're creating your character in so many different ways.
Right.
And then you can move from there on that.
Well, then Mass Effect did that too, and like.
I was just thinking of FemShep.
Yeah, so you could do Mass Effect and like romance with whoever you want. You can be a gay character, you can be straight. It's up to you. I think they do need more of that. I think it's heading in that direction, especially from like Ubisoft. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now, and I was hitting on a chick, and I was like, hell yeah. But.
I think that's a lot easier to push, like to have a game that gives you options on which directions you want to take, rather than a game that forces a character to be a certain alignment or whatever.
Right.
That could definitely be a start and like kind of a gateway that leads into more like just default diversity in video games.
Definitely, yeah.
I thought Final Fantasy was going to go that direction when they introduced Go-Go in Final Fantasy VI. Like, you don't even know what Go-Go is. They could be an animal for all you know. You don't know if they're a man, a woman, or what kind of even creature they are. They're literally a mime, which is awesome. And I felt like if Final Fantasy games always had some kind of like mime character or like a create your own character type, I felt like that should have been something that would be mandatory in future Final Fantasy games.
Okay. I do have a couple comments. So Drown says that cultural attitudes of your homeland will enforce things as well. Of course, but I think that is something that video games are not helping, and media in general is not helping that situation of kind of breaking that toxic cultural, and then also Drown says that Assassin's Creed did get some shit with diversity. I would love to know what that was, so if you could explain, that'd be awesome. But anyways, so I don't know. I mean, that was kind of it for 16 before we go into our other subject. And I mean, does anyone else have anything to add with 16? Oh wait, the video. We forgot about the video.
Oh shit, the video.
Yeah. So and this kind of leads me into my next one, so it's perfect. So we are going to talk a little bit about PS5. So the PS5 show was about a month ago, and they did release a video called, help me with the name, Doctor. What was the name?
It's important to point out that this it was specifically said that this is a working title, which means it's probably not the title that the game is going to have when it comes out, and that's Project Athia, which is a Square Enix game. I've seen some rumor and talk, there's a lot of fight back to it, but I think it is worth noting that some people actually think Project Athia is what's going to turn into Final Fantasy 16, and the reason that they called it, they used the working title is to hide that fact still.
I'm not surprised. I thought it was.
Athos, wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they specifically call it out too. It says working title on it. So, and that's usually what that means.
Really?
So okay. I thought, we thought as a group it would be nice to maybe watch it, and maybe people have opinions on it. Do you think this could be a Final Fantasy game? Do you think this looks like something you'd be interested specifically as a Final Fantasy game?
Right. I'm gonna see if I can get. Oh, thank you, Bobo. I don't think I can get the video up. I was trying to, but we did post it in our Discord.
That's okay.
I should have gotten some pictures maybe from it, but it was on the release. I remember, so I was with Lieutenant and Drowned, and we were watching it live together, and we all thought it was going to be 16. We all were like, oh my god, it's it. This is it. This is it. And then it was like not, and we were like, wait, what? Like, we just had like a feeling. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you compare this picture that we have and the video, it's very similar. I don't know what you think. Doctor? Oh.
Me? I actually don't know if I have a solid opinion. I'm sorry, I was reading you.
No, I thought you got muted or something.
No, I was looking and trying to read people kind of get caught up with the chat. I don't know is my big answer. I flip-flopped. I think when I first started kind of not buying into the conspiracy but looking into it, it was kind of out of hopefulness. I really, because I thought for sure there definitely is going to be a Final Fantasy 16 announcement because they said they're going to mention something big.
Yeah.
And while the game does look cool, but that first initial thought that I get when you saw kind of the not the character yet, but kind of the atmosphere, and then it had the Square Enix at the top, I was like, this is it! But then it was Project Athia. I was like, what's that?
That's what everyone thought. Everyone was like, oh my god, this is it. We all were getting hyped, and then we were just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
This is stupid. No one wanted to listen, so...
I would like to point out something that John Summer just said too, which is kind of contradictory to talking things we thought, and that's kind of why I'm leaning more towards now, if I'm being honest, to it not being Final Fantasy 16. Is because did not get the feeling of Athia being a high fantasy game. And I kind of got that too. And the reason was there was a lot of magic and stuff like that, but it did seem to be set in modern era, and it seemed to be so weird to point out. But the thing I remember most about it not feeling high fantasy is there's a shot where she runs through, and you see her sneakers, and they're very modern.
Oh, really?
Sneakers.
Oh, shoot, I didn't notice that at all.
And it just blares out in my mind. I was like, that's not fantasy. They
have sneakers on!
You can't fool me.
Oh my god, that's funny. Vanessa and Shadow, did you guys happen to see that trailer?
I did. Yeah, I think... I was watching it with you guys, but not with you. I was watching your streams while you were watching that. Yeah, I was a little lurker. I thought it was cool. I mean, I'm down for it to be Final Fantasy 16, whatever. That's cool too. I understand if they wanted to give it a kind of secret working title. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because then it would probably generate so much hype that people would put pressure on the devs to kind of rush the creation of it, and then we'll get a whole wad of mess that was Final Fantasy 15, where everyone was rushed, and then we got a half-assed project.
That's true.
But then at the same time, I'm also down for a new franchise. That'd be kind of cool too. It'd be kind of refreshing, a whole new set of different themes and elements going into a game. That sounds pretty exciting to explore.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And to sit on my backlog for 10 years.
Doctor, what were you going to say?
I would like to add a couple things for and against the whole conspiracy. First of all, even though I don't think it'll be a Final Fantasy 16 game, I do think that it looks like an incredible game. It looks really fun, and I'm definitely going to get it. Also, I have to look into this. It's just me literally speaking out of my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about. It also is a little suspect to me being a main series game because it's Square Enix produced, but it's being made by Luminous Studios, which is not like main team like Square Enix.
Really? Okay.
So
Luminous, actually, I'm gonna let you finish, but yeah, I want to make sure I get to add.
Okay, and that just to me screams that it's not a title game, you know. But did Luminous do 15 though?
I'm not sure actually. I've never.
Yeah, Luminous is comprised of people who worked on 15.
Okay, so then that's a moot point. So you're right.
Right. Shadow, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, my tinfoil hat came on as I was watching the reveal because any game that has the name Project in it or any kind of like working title, it just takes me back to PT, which was actually a teaser for Silent Hills.
Yes.
And so then it's like, okay, the tinfoil hat comes on. They're using like this ambiguous name that's not going to be the final name. And it's like Square Enix, like, okay, so as of that point, I was like, okay, this could 50-50 be Final Fantasy. However, Square Enix puts out a lot of games. They put out the Tomb Raider series, like they put out tons of things that are not Final Fantasy. But then I saw Luminous and I was like, oh, this could be a double thing because Luminous meaning like, having to do with light, like Warriors of Light or, lighting the mystery, like illuminating the mystery of what this game could be. Like I thought that might have been a nod. And then knowing that Luminous was made of people that worked on 15. So yeah, like I don't think it is. Like I definitely don't have enough information now to say whether it is or not. I still think it's possible. Big monsters, like I was thinking of Bahamut and like Behemoth and like, so I still think there's a chance this could be a Final Fantasy game and they decided to just focus on one character for the teaser, or this could be a kind of a different thing where you're only controlling one character. I don't know. I think no matter what, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome game, whether or not it's a Final Fantasy game.
Right.
Yep.
It looks promising. We do have a couple comments that were kind of interesting. Oh God, I don't know where to start. Did you see any guys that popped out to you while I'm trying to sort through my mind? So Drown says that they also have a tendency to put trailers out for things far too early. I think they learned their lesson. I hope they did. I hope they did. Please. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing a trailer and then the game doesn't come out for 10 more years. Like, I'm just done with it.
I forgot to mention that. That's another thing, too. I feel like previous Final Fantasy games, they were, like, way eager to jump out the gate. Like, hey, we're working on a new Final Fantasy game. Here it is. Wow. And,
Right.
Everybody gets hyped up. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised that maybe it's about time they took the stealth approach and we're like, here's this game we're working on and we're not really going to tell you much about it. And then all of a sudden, like maybe when they have enough ready and maybe 6 months before launch or something, they're like, guess what? It's a Final Fantasy game. Here you go. And then everybody's like, oh,
Right.
like, I think that would be super awesome. But a lot of it is like hope, nostalgia, and like, like I really want Final Fantasy 16. And so I don't know. I think it's exciting. All this speculation and stuff. It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes. I know that an announcement is coming soon, and there's been a lot of announcements this year. Oh my God, they have not held back this year on trying to make us excited, which I've been really appreciating in the current times. But with that, I would like to transfer onto the PS5, and also I'm seeing chats about the Xbox that are coming out. Is anyone gonna get that PS5? What are you guys thinking?
I'm getting
gonna
a
get the
couple of
PS5.
PS5s.
Okay, yeah. So I like it. I was like cool with it. I just wish it was black. I kind of thought it looked better black, but what?
I'm sure
You're gonna get color variants if you learn anything from the PS4.
That's true. Yeah, they hopefully. But it seemed, I guess, there has still been no cost release, which I'm surprised. I heard that they were supposed to release it last week, but we still have gotten nothing. The speculation is about $400, $500 and a little bit cheaper.
That's my guess.
Yeah, for like the digital. I do want to get it.
My guess is $4.99 for the disc and $3.99 for the digital.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too.
My actual guess is the physical accepting the disc one with the disc tray is probably, I think it's gonna be $5.99, and then the other one is gonna be $4.99.
That's what people have been saying too. They've been kind of between that range. I'm hoping it stays at that. If it goes any more expensive, fuck me, dude. Like,
Yeah, it sucks. But here's the thing. This is how I feel about it. Like, there's a big reason because I've always loved PlayStation over anything else. And one of the big reasons for that is just the longevity of the machines, for me at least, in my experience. I had a PS1 when it came out, a PS2 when it came out, and I also got the original Xbox when it came out. And when I got the original Xbox, I was still kind of like living that high from... Because the whole reason I got the Xbox... I'm jumping a little forward. And the PlayStation 1 still works, PlayStation 2 still works, my PlayStation 3 still works. And every time I've gotten an Xbox, it has not lasted a year.
Really?
I know I've definitely just got shitty Xboxes, but to me it just left a sour taste in my mouth. I swear to God, this is a real story. It happened to me. So imagine a PS4, right? And you know how like you can kind of slide off the top to get into like the hardware on the inside? It has like a sliding thing. I was going from my house to my mother's house for the weekend, and I grabbed my PlayStation 4, and it was the last thing I needed at my house, so I grabbed it by that, and I was walking with it, and I got to this motion, and it slid off, and I literally chucked my PS4 down the hall, bounced off the wall. No problem. Turned on just fine.
Wow.
Okay, that's good.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I was like,
So there's
incredible.
a happy ending.
oh my god. I've never had a problem with mine, except my boyfriend left my PS4 on all night. So I'm a little bit worried about it. But I'm so careful with my consoles because they're so fucking expensive. But shit like that happens. I drop my computer constantly. I'm dropping my phone constantly. Like, you need to make it durable. You've got kids playing it. You know, they could fucking drop it at any minute.
I also am getting sick and tired. What I will say that I'm big mad about, and I will die mad about this. Start making consoles that are full cross-compatible with the previous tiers of PlayStation. There is no reason that they can't. I have a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2 emulator on my computer. If that can be done, you can put that shit on a PS5. Guarantee it.
I better be spending $500.
I want to talk so bad.
Say it, Shadow.
So, okay, couple of points, but I'm going to be quick about it because I don't want to hog up airtime.
No, go ahead. Talk about
$5.99 is now a jinx number. I don't think they're going to go that route because PS3 launched at $5.99 and was the laughing stock of consumers and gamers, and I don't think Sony has ever forgotten that. There's a couple of things they have not forgotten about the PS3 launch. One is the $5.99 price tag. Two, it's the backwards compatibility didn't justify with a consumer the cost of the hardware. So like I have original PS3s because $5.99 for a fully hardware backwards, like basically a system with a PS2 built in, was totally like, oh my god, this is cheap for something that's going to continue the life of my PS2 games. But that wasn't common consensus. So the priority of backwards compatibility went down. Like we can't build the previous generation system into the current generation. Like maybe nowadays, like you'll see, you know, right now you've got PS4 compatibility in a PS5, and maybe in the PS6 you'll see that double backwards compatibility. But that's because you're really working with a lot similar architecture nowadays. You're working with like custom chips that are being designed. You're not dealing with the cell engine or the emotion, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot easier now to go backwards compatible from like this generation forward.
Right.
But any further back than that, it becomes a lot more expensive because you're essentially having to build hardware for it.
Right.
Software compatibility is still hit or miss. And then you've got, you know, like the copyright stuff with like licensing and music tracks and stuff like that. And everybody wants to get paid on their older stuff. So that's my point on that. And I forgot all my other points. Oh my god. I'll have to come back.
That's okay, because we do have a good comment. So to rebuttal that, Drown says that the PS3 was overly high because they were pushing the Blu-ray feature. I did forget about that. They were pushing Blu-ray.
That's when Blu-ray came out.
Right.
The actual PS3s, when they first came out, the hardware cost, the manufacturing cost, if you got any of the models of the PS3, you were like Sony was still spending more than what you were paying for it. Maybe a few bucks on the lowest model. Like I think Sony lost about $5 for every 20 gig PS3, but the 60 gig, I think they were losing about $30.
Wow.
Manufacturing costs. Yeah. So Blu-ray did contribute. I have a chart I'll show you guys one day. It's got the cost of all of the parts of a PS3 original build, and it breaks it down into dollars from 2003 or whatever to 6, whatever year that was. But really, yeah, Blu-ray was a big part of it, but the biggest part of it was building a PS2 into this architecture, making it work. And that actually contributed to some of the power supply failures that people were having in the yellow lights on their original PS3s.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
God, it's a gamble every time. I feel
Shit,
like.
did I cut off?
No, you're fine. We can hear you.
You're good.
Oh, maybe you
Shadow.
can hear us.
God damn it, Discord.
Discord is sucking today.
Yeah, Discord cut me off. Shadow.
We heard you. We heard everything you said. So. And then you were like, "Ah, shit."
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because I froze.
No, yeah, we heard everything you said. So, it's kind of just a gamble every time. I feel like you get a console. It really is. I always wait at least a year until I get my new console. But my boyfriend and I are very big gamers, and he's kind of wanting to get it on release date, which I'm a little nervous about. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I always wait until things are kind of mulled over and there's a little bit more games on it to get the new console. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I've gotten every PlayStation on release date.
Really? And you've never had a problem with any of them? Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
I even had the Fat Boy PlayStation 3, the one that was wildly big, and it was when it was at the like $600 markup price. Oh, I love that thick lad. He was, pretty good.
That thick
representation, Hylia. There's no representation and diversity for the thick.
For the thick. Yes, the PS3 has some thick. And doesn't the PS2 have a thick boy too?
Yeah, the original PS2.
Oh,
it was like,
yeah.
It was stacked.
Well, they're trying to give us some diversity with that, at least, yeah. Vanessa, what about you? What are you thinking about the PS5?
I'm gonna get it. I'm as much of a simp for PlayStation as I am for Square Enix, so I'm totally gonna get it. I don't care. I'm definitely gonna get the one with the disc tray though, because I need hard copies of my games. Because I'm just scared they're gonna like disappear into the ether one day.
Oh my god, yeah. That's another thing I'm worried about. So like my boyfriend is like, "Oh, we're gonna get the digital edition," but I'm like, I'm so terrified that I'll lose all that. Like I don't know. It's like a weird thing with me that like one day like whatever I'm using will just cease to exist and I'll lose all my games. It's like a weird paranoia. I don't know. I just like the physical copies as well. That's just me.
Well, that kind of happened with you once already, right? With like when you were, was it 6, and then you lost like all your memory.
Oh, that was
like,
a save. That was a save file. I'll explain that later. Oh. I don't want to explain that here. It was a fucking. I cried. I literally was like sobbing. I was like, my game. Like, oh, it was horrible.
Oh, I cried too.
That was my fault though, and I'll explain another time. But anyways, is there any other thoughts about the PS5 before we go on to a cool conspiracy to end things?
Go ahead, Shadow.
Nope, you go.
Okay. I was gonna say, and I do tend to agree with you guys. I'm also gonna deal with the disc tray. I love physical copies of games. I have a lot of really, really cool and I consider impressive collector's editions of games. I even have my favorite one in my collection is Borderlands 3 that came in an actual chest that like pops open and everything. I have one of those. But the thing is, I do completely understand things going digital, and I can't disagree with it moving in that direction. I'm just sad about it. Same. It's one of those things I don't want to let go because I personally love it, but I also get it.
Right.
It's definitely, and it is better. Like I would consider in every aspect it's better because, like, for instance, when you buy something off the PlayStation Store, right? Say my mom recently bought Abe's Odyssey, like Oddworld. She loves Oddworld. And her favorite thing about it was when she got a new PlayStation, she was really sad that she didn't have her Oddworld anymore. I was like, no, if you buy it once, just go to the store. You can buy it again on your car. Or not buy it again, but it's just there ready for you to download.
Yeah.
So if you go on a huge move and you lose a box of video games, they're just gone.
That's true.
But if you have them stored and saved up on the cloud, they're there whenever you need them.
You're right, yeah. And that's like a thing. It's like, I'm just paranoid.
Well, for as long as that company exists, imagine now. Let's say Xbox takes another hit. Microsoft says, okay, we're done with video games now on console. And they shut down Xbox Live, basically. Or they make it PC only. Now, all of your content in the cloud is gone. And that's it.
I agree. That is a worry, but I can't personally see a world where that happens. Like, they would have, that's some big bogus balls they would have to take that away from people. It'd be nuts.
It would cost people thousands. It would cost.
Oh yeah, it would be nuts. people would if I was a PlayStation. If I am a PlayStation, what is this? If I'm talking about, I'm a PlayStation fanboy. If they told me one day that all my digital downloads are just going to be gone, that would make me even stop buying PlayStation games.
Oh, of course. Oh my god.
I
here's another
prefer
point too.
video games on my computer. Like, I am on my computer more often, but I still love PlayStation, and I support PlayStation, and I buy PlayStation games, I play on my PlayStation, but I could very easily just play on my computer. I have a very nice computer that I built, and it handles things better than these consoles will.
Right.
So,
what were you going to say, Shadow?
So I'm huge on preservation, especially with gaming, and there are far too many video games that not enough people get to play, and that just go and like disappear, like especially digital only games. For example, the Wii eShop only games that were on the Wii, like they were made for the Wii. They were like indie games that were made on the Wii. You can only download them. WiiWare games, I think that's what they were called. They're gone. Contra 4. There was man, I had like this whole list of games just in my head. They all just left. But there were a ton of these games that nobody's ever going to play. Right. One example that comes to mind that affects me is I have Dead Space tied to my Google account. So it's a mobile Dead Space game. It actually played like a Dead Space game. It was an awesome mobile game. But that game, EA dropped support for it. And so, like, if I go to my Google account, I can see, Dead Space is here. It's not compatible with my current phone. Right. Because the software itself has never been updated. So that's another thing you have to consider. You may have this library, but if someday backwards compatibility digitally is no longer supported, like, you're screwed. You have to make sure you still have that original console. You can still link your account to it, that those servers that link these accounts and everything, there exist. But then also, like, when you have these marketplaces and they release games, they're not going to release the entire library. Like the current eShop on the Switch only has Nintendo games.
Right.
And Nintendo Switch Online has very few third-party, like NES and SNES games. Most of them are Nintendo made. Very few Capcom, like one Jalico game, maybe one or two Konami games. So yeah, like I personally have a ton of reasons not to go digital, but I'm with Doctur in that I face the future. If that's the direction the future goes, I can only be sad about it and nothing more.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing too with me. Like, for people that don't know, I'm a software engineer. I'm in tech, and I love looking toward the future. It's one of the reasons I got into this area of interest, I guess you could say, in the first place, because I love seeing where technology goes. It doesn't mean I'm not sad about the technology that's going, because I do have a lot of nostalgic feel about a lot of technology we don't use anymore. But I love to see where the future goes. That's kind of what drives me in my career path.
Right. We had some really good viewer comments that I do want to bring up, actually, that I don't think any of us thought of. So Bobo says, bummer for the local game stores. That's a good thing to bring up.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
That
a lot of
companies
will go out of business.
I mean, they could go off like retro games, but like I feel like vintage stock and like other companies already do that, and they're not always very successful. And then it had another comment. Oh shoot, I lost it. Sorry. There was also a rumor from Tubster that says that the PS5 will be losing money. It will be selling at a loss. And then Gaming Nerd 10 says, it's weird, I prefer physical, but I hate going to GameStop. I'm excited for the next gen, but I probably will wait to get at least a year before getting the PS5. So that's like another thing to think about, is like we've got a lot of companies that will be losing money because they can't sell physical copies, or they will have not many, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the nature of change and automation in industry. Like, remember once upon a time working a toll booth used to be a job?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
And you're seeing it now a lot of days too. There's like, I know there are at least a handful of fully automated stores out there that don't have employees in it. Yeah. That, like, the baskets have a way to track what you're buying and then you purchase before you leave. We are really moving to honestly kind of a futuristic society where a lot of jobs aren't going to be needed anymore, and that sucks. It does suck. Like, I don't have a direct answer for how to fix it that isn't like controversial or not political that I'd want to discuss on the internet with,
Could we then discuss how this sort of like could segue or mirror into that PS5 game that was teased with like the All Robot Society and a graffiti that was like "Bye bye humans, goodbye humans," and
Oh yeah.
"R.I.P. Rip humans,"
Yeah.
and all that. And it was nothing but like
that
robots that are behaving like people, and you're playing as the cat. What was it called? Stray, I think.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep. I can't wait for that. It looks so fun. Looks so cool. I know nothing about it. I'm down. It's a cat. I love cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
have
It's so
some good
much.
stuff. Yeah. They had some awesome stuff. Any more thoughts?
You ever played Tokyo Jungle?
No. What is that?
It's a PS3 game, digital download only, made by I think the same company that's making Stray. And you're basically navigating a post-apocalyptic Tokyo as different animals. You start as a what are them little? Oh my god, the little fluffy dogs, the little brown. I think they start with a P. I forget. But
The bound
yeah, so you start as a little
poodles?
dog, not a poodle.
Oh.
A
Pomeranians?
Pomeranian.
Oh, I love
You
those
start as
dogs.
that, and then you can play like, and you get to like mate and like eat and like survive as long as possible, and then you can unlock other types of animals to play as. You can play as cats, cheetahs, lions, raptors. Like it's super awesome. Tokyo Jungle. Check it out.
Oh, okay. Drowned asked if that's
Tokyo
mostly
Jungle.
PvP.
No. PVE.
PvE.
You can do PvP if I remember, or you can do co-op, but it's
Okay.
PvE.
Nice. All right, so we are going to end off on a conspiracy that Vanessa wanted to talk about. And I'm actually really excited to hear it because I have never heard this conspiracy before. So,
Never heard it.
Never. And I'm like, I haven't even read what you wrote because I don't want to know. So you want to talk about the Renoa is Ultimecia conspiracy in Final Fantasy VIII. Hit us with it,
Oh my
bitch.
god. I was reviewing my sources today before we connected, and I was reading comments. So many people hate this theory. I'm so scared.
I'm so excited to know what it is. I'm terrified.
But yeah, no. So like long ago, this was like years ago when I first saw someone actually like make a video or write like a little paper on it. But like, there's a theory going around that in Final Fantasy VIII, Renoa Heartily is Ultimecia, and I remember watching this one video that this guy made on YouTube, and I totally ate it up because, first of all, it was like, oh shit, that makes sense, because I kind of hated Ultimecia. She kind of came out of nowhere for me. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
Why am I fighting you? Like, her whole presence kind of bugged me. But then the fact that it was like, oh, it could be Renoa from the future kind of like drew me in. And then made me think about it, and it kind of made sense. Like, this dude who made this video came up with like all this evidence. One of his points was like there's a consistency between Renoa and Ultimecia, and like, I guess supposedly, I don't know, like I kind of asked you guys about it in the notes, but like they both have a fear of time slipping away. We see this in the final battle with Ultimecia, where she, like, in her like dialogue, she's talking about how time escapes you, and just to like hold on to your childhood, your emotions, and like the sensations you're feeling, all that shit. But then like there's also I included a photo in the document. I don't know.
I'm gonna put it up here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Okay. All right. Good luck. Thank you
Of course.
for the support. But like, yeah, no, someone took like a half of Renoa's face and then half of Ultimecia's face and like kind of like mashed them together so you can see like a resemblance. And if you can kind of look past Ultimecia's like face tattoos and her yellow gold eye, they kind of look the same. But then again, we are working with a CGI generator. I sound smart. From like the 1990s, so I don't know.
Look the same, yeah.
Like how, right? I don't know how much ground that holds, but like one really big thing that caught me was the fact that Griever is a summon that Ultimecia uses against you towards the end of the game, and Griever was also the character on Squall's ring, and Griever heavily like is associated with Squall in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he was his favorite GF.
So.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Oh, no, he wasn't even, like, a GF in the main game, but, like, Ultimecia kind of, like, made a GF that was Griever, and there's, like, some speculation. I remember, like, years ago reading the comments, like, this is, like, dark YouTube times when you're on YouTube at like 3 a.m. and you go into like the dark YouTube section. But like, there's some people who think that like Griever is actually Squall, and in order for Renoa to prevent Squall from dying of like old age and shit, she like turned him into a summon so that he can like stay with her
That's
forever and
super
ever.
twisted.
Dude,
That is
it's so dark
crazy.
and so freaky. And then also gives her like, for me, I feel like it gives her motive to want to exist in all times, because then she'll be like with her friends and like with Squall and all that shit. Because I guess supposedly sorceresses in the Final Fantasy VIII universe, they live longer, so they have to sit back and watch all their loved ones die. And Renoa, as you can see as like her character throughout the game, she's a very loving and like open person. Like she wants people around her, she cares about those around her. So like having to watch your loved ones die is pretty shitty. And I could see how that would turn you evil. Like,
Yeah. I just put the picture up, and yeah, it's hard to tell because it's like it could just be like the CGI in the 90s at the time, or maybe it was intentional. But they do look very similar. So that's crazy. I mean, it's weird because I never like noticed, but there is quite a comparison between the two, like the light and the dark, and the angel wings, like you said, and yeah, just it's weird. I think 8 definitely needs a little bit more recognition and some defining, for sure. Doctor, you haven't played 8.
shit. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
No.
Surprise, Doctor, sorry.
He just never finished it. But and then so Bobo actually said that there's I think we all know the theory about Squall being dead. I don't like that theory, but I do like this theory. So I could definitely go for it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Maybe both of those theories. Like Squall is dead and therefore Ultimecia.
Like Squall totally died, and then Renoa got her sorceress powers from Edea, like per canon.
Well, check this out. This is something I had read. It basically says Ultimecia is the future Renoa. Renoa grows up to become Ultimecia. When she's older, some great tragedy could occur that deeply affects Renoa and changes her slowly. This could be the death of Squall or other loved ones, or some other disaster that happens in the Final Fantasy VIII world. Slowly over time, she grows more depressed, and her sorceress powers feed the dark sadness inside of her. Her sorceress powers prevent her from dying naturally and continues to live for eons alone. Eventually, gripping on the brink of insanity, she becomes Ultimecia.
Oh my god! Sorry, it kills me. I'm gonna just like let myself loose a little bit here. So I actually roleplay Quistis on a role-playing server, and so I interact with Renoa quite a bit, and I have like a new love for Renoa. I love her so much. So it kills me, but it might be. I like it. I think it might be true. I could see it.
I love it. I mean, I hate to like shit on everyone with this theory, but I guess okay, so it's not Kazushige Nojima. I guess he's the one who wrote the story for Final Fantasy VIII, but there's another developer who's like hugely involved in it. And all the other videos I checked on before we had our talk today said that this theory was debunked and Renoa is not Ultimecia. And I'm choosing to stick my head in the sand with that because,
yeah,
I don't know, I really like this theory. I think it's great.
Oh my god.
I think they should just roll with it.
I know. I mean, I feel like it's pretty linear and it adds up pretty well, especially with what you said, Shadow. Yeah, for sure. They need to just take our theories. Sometimes I look at my role-playing group and the way they write, and I'm just like, can you guys like write the next Final Fantasy? Because you guys all do such a good job. Like the fans do such a good job.
There is like this Twitter thread. Oh, sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, you didn't. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, no, like this is when I was up like later than I should have been, and there's like a whole Twitter thread of like what could happen with Final Fantasy VII-R, and someone commented, I should have saved their name or some shit, but they wrote like Tetsuya Nomura up in the is lurking taking notes or some shit like that. And
I guess
like,
so. Yeah, he's like, God, these bitches
like,
are good. I need to take some notes from them. Like, oh, I mean, that could be a thing. Definitely. I think the fans definitely have some good ideas that they really put in. I mean, is there anything else to that theory that you want to talk about, or anybody else? I know Doctor has not played the game, so this is new to you. But
Sorry.
no.
So
No, it's okay.
What were you gonna say, Shadow?
I'm gonna mention one thing. So in Dissidia, Ultimecia's exclusive weapons all share the same names as Renoa's exclusive weapons.
No.
Valkyrie, Cardinal, Shooting Star. These weapon names debuted with Renoa.
Yo, how could they say that's not real then? Because that's literally like a recycle. They're fucking with us. They're like.
Ultimecia's Renoa. Other than that, because sorry, no, you're gonna say
you're
something.
You're fine. I was just gonna rant. No, go ahead.
I just feel like a good villain in any sort of form of art should have a connection with the heroes you're playing with. Otherwise, it's just like, for why?
And that's
why are you fucking
right? And that's kind of like a thing with Ultimecia, was she did feel kind of like she wasn't random, like very much if you really looked into it, but she was kind of just like there. And that would have kind of made it better for me if it was like, oh, she's actually Renoa. And I think it would have fucked with Renoa's head if she knew this is what I'm going to turn into. Like, oh.
It would totally break her.
And Squall. Oh, I'm about to cry. Squall would just die. He would be like, fuck this, dude. Like, maybe he is dead. We don't know. But
I do think this theory will pretty
pact.
much just sit and die here, though. Because Kitase did go on record with Kotaku saying they're not the same person. They're both witches, and that makes them similar, but they're not the same person, and I wouldn't put them in a remake as that. So he wouldn't use that theory, according to his interview with Kotaku.
Which breaks my heart, because I think it's a good theory. Another thing I also don't believe, and I refuse to believe, even though I know it's not true, is that Hojo is Sephiroth's father, and I know that's true, but I just hate it so much, so I don't really listen to them. Yeah.
I hear you on that one. I'm still pro Vincent is actually Sephiroth's father.
Me too!
Hojo looks like a little rat. Hojo's one rat-looking motherfucker.
If Vincent was Sephiroth's father, Sephiroth would never get killed.
You don't think so?
No, he would be OP because Vincent is OP.
Yeah, but Sephiroth is kind of OP already. Like, you can only be so OP.
No, but you take him down at the end. If he had Vincent DNA, he'd be like, yo, you bitches need to run because I'm about to wreck it.
But he only gets half of that, so maybe he's not as good. I'm just fucking grabbing at
and it was
here.
it was Sephiroth was conceived before Vincent had all those experimentations done on him.
True. But Vincent was a badass before he got experimented on. I think those experiments hold him back. His demon form and other beast forms. I think they're holding him back.
God. I mean, I could go on about
Vincent is the epitome of I don't know, just super awesome G.
He is. Vincent is a babe. I love Vincent. I cannot wait to see him in the remake. I'll cream my pants. I will literally be like, yes! my fucking TV will jizz everywhere. Everyone will be so happy. Sorry. You guys know what I'm using for lighting right now? I'm using my phone on the highest brightness I can for my lighting, so that's why you can see it sometimes.
Oh, that's good.
I need to get a better lighting system. Anyways, to bring that back. But yeah, that's all I have today. Do you guys have anything else to add before we head off? No? All right. Well, thank you for joining. I think we might have a subject for next week. So we will be here next week. And yeah, so, I mean, I do have an announcement. I was like, I need to do some announcements, but I never have any. So we do have a book club. So if you guys join our Discord, which is under the stream, it's called TeamCarbuncle. We do have a book club that is happening. So Mo, who you guys have not seen yet, she has not been in stream yet, but she wanted to start a book club with me and do it as a podcast thing, and I was like, hell yes, and I kind of was more into the idea, and she was like, yeah, that'd be great. So we are reading Final Fantasy XV's Dawn of the Future. We will be doing an episode over that in August 16th. I would love for everyone to read it and join in their thoughts, and we'll see what kind of happens. It'll be our first go, but we do have kind of a book club with this podcast. So join our Discord for more information. We are reading the Final Fantasy 15 book. So anyone else have any announcements? No?
No, but thank you, Bobo, for the bits.
Yeah, thank you, Bobo. Gracias.
Shout out to everybody who was in chat today. Chat was popping, conversation was going. I love it.
Yeah.
Please continue that conversation on Discord. Keep it going.
Right, and if there's something you really want us to say, just tag one of us. Sometimes the comments all get lost and we can't find them, so if there's something you'd really love us to say, just tag us and we'll definitely say it on the podcast. So, all right, well, thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next week. Hasta la vista.
Bye, everyone.